Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Nate Reg from NateReg.com, and today I'm going to be talking about how to get good fast. And I'm going to be showing you 4 easy ways, and these are 4 easy ways that I've actually done myself, and I can personally testify for. So, eventually, pretty much these 4 ways are a big balancing act between cost and effectiveness. There's going to be some ways you can get better that are going to be relatively expensive, but you're going to get good fairly fast. And there are some ways that are practically free, if not free itself. But those can be somewhat effective to not effective at all, really. So yeah, I'm here to just kind of go over your options and present you with some things, and hopefully you guys figure out some new ways that you guys can get better fast and kind of be better suited to plan it out and work your way up to becoming as good as you could possibly get. Um, so, you know, like I was saying, there's a different difference between cost and effectiveness. Some are more costly, some are more effective. Um, they all change. I'm gonna say though that generally though people pay money to get good at poker. It is possible to get good at poker for free, but it's gonna take a very very long time. Potentially, and more likely than not, even if you want it to be free, it's probably going to cost you a lot of money. Now, here's why. Let's say you start out playing poker and you deposit a few $100 and you start playing at, I don't know, 5 and L or 10 and L, and you hire a coach and you get all that. That's going to cost a lot of money up front, a lot out of your pocket. But you're probably going to get good fairly fast. I mean, within several months, you could probably be at least breaking even, if not winning, quite a bit. So it's going to cost quite a bit. But let's say that you think you don't need to do that. You don't really need to put in the time. You just need to like play and hopefully figure stuff out. You want to go a very cheap route. So let's say you deposit like $50, and then start playing, 5 and L or even 2 and L, and you just start losing a ton of money, and you just chronically lose. You just look at your graph and it's going straight down. Now, you might be considering yourself doing this for free, like you're learning how to play poker for free. But if you look at it, you're losing a lot of money while playing, and that's not only did you lose that time out of your life, you can never get that time back. There's an opportunity cost to that. You could have probably made money if you went to work or did something else. So there's that time cost that you lost, and also you actually lost physical money on the online poker site. So that's very even if you wanted it to be for free, chances are you're probably gonna lose your money. And knowing a lot of people that play poker, it's a lot of people come in with this mindset of oh, gamblers are these high roller guys, or they're guys throwing money around, and people come in with this very money centric view of poker, which it kind of is in a way, but they come in and they're more prone to tilt. They might lose some buy-ins at 5 and 0 and figure that oh well, it must not be me, it's the players. I can't put these players, so I'm going to move up, and they move up and lose even more money, and stuff like that. And this might be true for your game, but I hope it's not. If it is, try to change that. But that's just kind of how players play. You're gonna have to probably lose some sort of money in order to gain some money. Poker's kind of an investment. It's a fun game, and you don't you don't have to buy into this stuff. That's fine. There's a lot of people that play poker recreationally. Some of them break even. Some of them might win little bits amount. They all say that they win. I'll guarantee you that right now. They all say that they win. Some very few people win at poker. It's probably like 10% of all poker players that are online win, and at casinos it's probably even less than that. Probably like 5%, if I don't know, maybe less than that. I'm not really sure the exact numbers, but very few people actually win at poker. Um, but if you're a recreational player and you like losing money, or no one likes losing money. If you like to have fun and don't care about losing money, I should say, that's completely fine, and that's up to you, and that's fine. But this post and this video that I just did are more geared towards people that want to become better poker players, at least break even, wanting to win lots of money and potentially have the possibility of becoming a professional poker player someday. It takes a lot of time and effort, but here are the 4 ways. So now that I kind of got that spiel out of the way, let's move on. So the first thing that you can do that's a really great method to use, it's one of my favorites, is the hand history review. A lot of you guys obviously know about this. It's very standard for poker players. Even if people are fish, they talk about hand histories and they do hand history review, whether they whether they know it or not. If you've ever been to a table and a guy just won't stop talking to you about how he lost his aces against deuce 3 offsuit or something random, that's a hand history review technically. The hand history reviews are very common, but we'll kind of go over it a little bit and how it could be the most effective, because obviously the guy that talks to you about his pocket aces being cracked is not very effective at all. So let's go into this. What I like to do at either before your next session or right after the session you're currently playing is you should be looking at your 3 most won and 3 most lost hands of the session. And that's really good because you can figure out, not in the short run but the long run, you can start to see big pots that you're losing and big pots that you're winning, and over a long period of time that will give you a better sense of hand strength and where money actually comes from in poker. So over a year, if you see, oh wow, I'm losing a lot of money when I flat small pocket pairs out of position. At the time you might just chalk it as a cooler, but if you see it over a long run, you might reflect upon it and say, wow, you know what? This happens quite a bit. Maybe there's more to it than just bad luck, and you might look into it. Also, you might be able to identify other things like, I played fairly solid this session, but there was this one hand, 1 or 2 hands where I just messed up over the last hour. And you can go back and reflect on it and think about it as, well, I was kind of tilted in this hand and I didn't make good decisions, and maybe the next time I feel like this, I should just stop playing, or maybe just fold and move on to another hand. And, maybe for some people, the majority of their hands where they lose tons of money are just them not thinking right and tilting, so they can adjust their strategy that way. I mean, there's all different sorts of possibilities that can come about it, but make sure that you at least have some idea of where all your money's lost go and where all your money won go. It's very important. And then for example, I'm sorry. Another thing that you can do is review other hands that aren't the 3 most won, 3 most lost. And for example, what I was saying is that when you're actually in a session, if you have Hold'em Manager 2, you can click on your previous hand. There's like this little box on the table that has all these hands, the last 3 hand histories or whatever. You just click on the hand that you want, and I believe Hold'em Manager 2 to the top left. There's a little checkbox that says tag this hand or save this hand, something like that. Go ahead and click that button, and that'll actually save your hand. So whenever you're in the Sessions tab after your session, all you have to do is click Filter by Tags or Filter by whatever. It's right there above the hand histories in the Sessions tab, and it will literally make it so you can't see any hands except for the ones that you tagged. And that's really cool, because while you're playing a session, you might have a question about something, and it might be something trivial, like let's say you go to steal 2.5x against a guy with a fold to steal of 65% and a guy with a fold to steal of 70%, and then they both fold, but then you're thinking about it, you're like, well, I guess, is that profitable with any 2 cards or something? You might have a question like that in your head. And that's a very healthy question, but the thing is, most people won't act upon it. They'll just see that and be like, I don't know, I guess so, maybe, and they'll move on with their life. Well, if you tag that hand, you can go back and on your session review, you can see hands like that and be like, oh wow, okay, let me go through this. And when you have more time and you're not at the tables, you can actually run through all the math and figure it out. A lot of people talk about poker math, like what poker math should I use? If you're a tournament player, there's probably a lot more of it. But when you're actually playing like cash games, there's some basic stuff that you should know, but other than that, you don't really do like really intensive math at the table. It's more just like kind of figuring out ratios and percentages, and that's about it. It's not too hard with some practice, but the time that you spend off the table is when you should be doing a lot of that stuff, and the easiest way to do that is just to mark hand histories. Um, let's see. So also you want to be able to do hand history analysis, or I'm sorry, database analysis on your hands on Hold'em Manager too. So this might not be the easiest thing in the world for uh, a lot of people because they haven't done it before. It's this big program that does all sorts of stuff, and who knows where you start, right? Well, I'll try to do a video on this in the future, just kind of how you can analyze your own stats and database and um, figure some of these numbers out and what all this stuff does. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty in depth and complicated. Well, it's not complicated; it's just kind of complex, and there's a lot to understand. So, I'll try to go over it sometime in the future for you guys. But be sure that you do that as well. Over large sample sizes, you should be analyzing your hand histories. Obviously, if you like have a hand sample of 5,000 hands and uh, you, I don't know, steal, I don't know, 90% or something, that doesn't mean anything. Or I guess maybe steal percentage is a little high, but maybe if you're like one to showdown is 32% or something, it's not going to really mean that much. Um, so be sure you get a huge sample size and you're able to do that. So I guess that's to kind of wrap it up on hand history review. Um, the second thing that I would highly recommend for getting better is to get help from others. And this is actually like one of the coolest parts about poker. It's like networking. There's all these people that you play with. Might as well, remember how I was saying like maybe 5 or 10% of the population of poker players actually wins poker. Well, might as well become their friends and discuss poker. So instead of being their enemies, why not become their friends and learn how to extract even more money out of the fish? And it's the best thing is basically to realize that it's a mutual thing. Um, you help other players out and they'll help you out, sort of thing. Make sure that you're actually discussing poker with someone that's of your skill level or higher. And that's usually the hardest part is to find someone. So a really good thing you can do is just simply find friends, like real life friends or whatever that actually play poker and are decent at poker. If you have a friend that just complains about bad beat histories, or they have no desire to learn, they just kind of like ramble on about how bad they do or whatever. um, you know, be their friend, be nice to them, enjoy hanging out with them, getting a beer or whatever, but don't use them as a person to discuss your hands with, because you're probably not going to get quality advice and they're probably not going to grow with you. Assuming that you do grow as a poker player, they're not going to grow with you, so they're just going to become kind of like a burden on you. It's that whole concept that gets talked about where who you are is like the sum of your six closest friends or whatever. So um, don't associate your poker circle with people in your real life that are just going to hold you down. Now that doesn't mean like separate yourself and don't have friends. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying have all your friends and then have all your poker friends. It's like when you go to work. You have all your friends there and then you leave. You might hang out with them. They might mix there, but don't go to your mom for advice or whatever. On a hand. I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of rambling on and making it more complex than it is. Another thing you can do that is actually like the stone cold nuts, and it's like free, is going on to 2+2 and posting hand histories and commenting on hand histories. A lot of people, especially people that I coach and stuff, have jobs, and poker is not their income, so they don't really care about the money more or less that they're playing with on poker, but they just want to get better. And the biggest frustration for a lot of those people is that they have a lot of time that they spend at work or school, and it's kind of hard to put in a lot of time to not only play poker but to also study poker and become a better player. So the best thing you can do, I would say, is to troll around forums all day. I'm like Grinder School, who I'm a coach for, and Deuces Crack, which is another favorite of mine. 2+2 is a great one. Just sign up for these forums and post your hand histories, hands that you have questions about. Not hands where it's like, I got on kings and he had aces. should I get kings in pre-flop 100? Like, don't talk about that. Like that, no one cares about that. Talk about actually interesting hands. Those are just hands where spots are really, really close and tough. And don't be scared. Like if you have a question that you think might be stupid, don't worry about it. Just post it. And the worst thing that'll happen is people will just say like, oh, easy folds or something like that. Like it's not a big deal. Um, don't get discouraged. Like who cares? You're here to get better. You're not here to like, uh, I don't know, prove that you know everything about poker, and only the really complex questions are what you care about. Who cares? Just get better. Be be open-minded. Check out a bunch of hand histories and also comment on other people's hand histories. Like no one's gonna want to comment on your hand histories if you don't comment on anyone else's. So and it's also a good practice. Like you can see other spots that people get in. And the interesting thing is a lot of people will play differently. So if they're learning and they make mistakes, they might get into some really weird situations that you would never get into because you'd play hands completely different and never put yourself in that spot. But it'll help you think in weird ways that you would never be in, like situations that you would literally never be in. So that way, not only could you ever have that thought process there if you ever needed it for whatever reason at the poker table, but you can also get your mind inside the head of your opponents that you play. So it's very, very good to do that, and it's free, and you can do it on your phone at work, you can do it at your computer or whatever. It's completely free. It's kind of the nuts. The one thing is that you have to be careful about is sometimes uh, the quality isn't too high at some spots. Like, for example, if you go to 2+2 in their micro stakes section, they're generally pretty good. Um, some people give like bad advice, and just because even the regs at grinder or the grinders at the lower limits are going to be generally not as good as like the higher limit ones. So the group consensus might not be as skilled as say some of the higher limits, but more or less if they're winning at the game, there's something that they're doing right, and they're going to be able to give you some good advice relative to the stakes that you're playing. And also, if you go into a site like Grinder School or Deuces Cracked, it's pretty awesome because they have really high quality like winning coaches, like people at the top of their game that are coaches there, and then they comment on your hands for free. So I mean, how awesome is that? You get people that you can trust. They know what they do. Like people that make like $100 or $200 an hour playing poker that are commenting on your hand from a 10-0 game or something. They know what they're doing, so you can trust that their advice is sound advice. So be sure to check out forums and stuff, especially like the poker training video sites like Grinder School and Deuces Crack. Those are by far my favorite. Um, like I said, try to find people at your skill level. If you find them, like say you're trolling around 2+2 and you find some people, you find a study group, um, join their study group, start a Skype group. If you're in Skype, you can join a group and just add a bunch of people and literally just have it up and discuss hands all the time. Like I'm a part of, I think, 3 of these. I don't post into them as much as I should, but that's like literally all they do all day. I mean, is just discuss poker. Like one of them is more of people that are just kind of recreational or not recreational players. People that like go to work all day and then they come home and grind. Like they're pretty solid players, but poker is a hobby that they win at. It's not necessarily like their life. They're not pro poker players or anything. And then another group that I'm in are more of the pro poker player type, and both are very helpful. But it kind of depends what group you're looking for. So, for example, if you're like a pro poker player, you might want a group of other pro poker players. Whereas if you're working but you want to get better at poker, you might want to consider joining one of these other groups that are they're fun and you can just hang out with and talk with people all day and then discuss hands, and it's maybe like 35% really solid poker strategy, and the other percentage is just like talking about other poker related news and I don't know, just all sorts of stuff. It's fun and it's poker related, so whatever is right for you, whatever you feel is right for you, go ahead and do that. It's better that you do that than just sit around in your room and not know how to get better and just sit there and lose money. So find people that you know are going to help you get better, and be sure to mutually help them. So that's what it's all about. So the third thing I want to talk about is watching videos. For me, this is the vast majority of my poker quote unquote education. I literally spent like the first year or two of my poker career from like 2009, um, actually even until today, pretty much, just watching poker videos. I did some forum posting, but I would say like 90% of it was just watching poker videos. For me, that is by far the best bang for the buck. It's like $20 or $30 a month, depending on which site you're at. If you're if you're a microstate guy, like I would say 50 an hour or lower, I would say get a Grinder School subscription. Like I know it sounds super biased because I'm one of the instructors there, but um, I don't like get paid to promote you. I just get paid to be a coach there. But even if I'm not a coach there, like I still highly think that it's the best for 50 and L and lower. And the reason is because that's all they do is just micro stakes content. Everything from like 2 and L all the way up to 50 and L. I mean, they have videos higher than that, but very few. Like probably 90%, if not more, of their library is all micro stakes stuff. Like a lot of the problems that I had when I was growing as a poker player was I was going to Deuces Cracked, and I would be watching like 200 NL 6 max strategy when I was trying to play 5 NL full ring. So a lot of the concepts were really cool and really exciting for me to learn, but it's very hard to transition that into the game that I was playing. So that's kind of my beef with Deuces Cracked. So like I would highly suggest going to Grinder School if you're at the micro stakes. Now if you're at 50 NL and higher, or even 100 NL higher, 50 NL is kind of a weird period where no one really cares about you. You're kind of, you're kind of like too low for a lot of the higher stake stuff, and you're kind of like too high for the lower stake stuff. I would say that there's probably more content at 50 NL for at Grinder School than at Deuces Cracked. But at 50 NL, I would buy both subscriptions. I mean, you should be making decent enough amount of money. Just one buy-in would pay for it. But anyway, if you're higher than 50 NL, Deuces Cracked is by far the way to go, in my opinion. They've got a lot of really solid coaches, amazing content. They just come out with content like every single day, and it's just always really good. Like I don't know how they don't run out of stuff to talk about, but it's always they always keep up with the times too. Like they had all these videos that were telling you how to do this thing, and then a year later it's not effective anymore, so they tell you how to like do other stuff. I think it's really awesome. I love that site, and they have stuff for even higher limits too. So if you ever find yourself as a profitable 5-10 player, 10-20 or something, they're gonna have something that for you there as well. But I guess if you get to that level, then there's probably better ways that you can learn. Even though $30 is just like stealing the blinds. So yeah, check that out. Definitely recommend Grinder School and Deuces Cracked. There's other ones out there that are good as well, but in my experience, those two that I mentioned are my favorite and, in my opinion, the best. Um, the worst thing to do is to watch poker on TV. I'm not gonna lie, it's really bad. On top of them being live players, which I don't want to knock too much, but they don't get in as many hands, and they play vastly different than they do online. So it's not a very good strategy, especially for playing online. On top of that, usually the commentator or the person that's doing like hand analysis or whatever for live television is just absolutely terrible. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing for the most part. Um, the best I've seen for live commentating is Live at the Bike. Even by those standards, I think those players would be more break even or slightly losing players at small and mid stakes online poker, especially in this day and age. I mean, it depends what side they're on as well. They're very solid players, but the thing is, they've been playing live their whole life, so they'll play way looser and probably way more passive than what could survive in online. And it's not knocking their skill level; they make a ton of money live. It's just that you can't watch them give analysis on live poker and then apply that to your online game that well. It's very hard to do. And yeah, just just stay away from live poker. Use the TV just for entertainment. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna learn anything by watching TV. So now I'm gonna get to my last thing, the fourth thing of how you can get better at poker fast. And the best way, in my opinion, is coaching. Um, I'm seriously not saying this because I have coaching and I plug it or whatever. This is by far the best way to get better. And I'm going to warn you up front, it is the most expensive option. Um, with that being said, though, it is the most effective option. I would much rather get coaching and become a winning profitable player over, I don't know, 6 months to a year than spend like 2 years trying to figure out the ropes of poker and then at the end becoming a slightly winning player at lower limits. It just makes no sense in my opinion. Um, some people don't need coaches. Actually, no, I take that back. Everyone needs a coach. I've had coaches, several coaches actually. Um, Now that I think about it, everyone that I know that's a really good player has had a coach, at least one coach in their life. I actually I think most of them had multiple coaches. I can't think of one that's had lower than two coaches before. I might be wrong, but now that I think about it, everyone that's good has a coach. It's not. It's basically because you're never gonna be the best person at any aspect of poker. Like, even if you're Phil Ivey, you can't be the best at, I don't know, three betting, or you can't be the best at knowing how to play PLO out of position, or there's so many different aspects of like different nuances of poker, or even the mental game. Like, you might be the best poker player in the world, but you might have really sucky mental stability. Like, you might win 5 buy-ins, but then tilt off 10 buy-ins. It's even if you're like a winning player, you might win at 5 big blinds per 100, but you want that 6 big blind per 100. So there's all these like little tiny things that you can always improve on, and the best way to have that happen is to find someone in that area that you're trying to improve on that's better than you, um, and hire them to teach you what they know about that area. And that's by far the best way. It's going to cost you money up front. My personal coaching is on my page. It's generally going to be about one buy-in. It's not too expensive relative to other coaches, but I've paid for coaching up to $200 before, and that's fairly reasonable. Most coaches do anything between like 100 and 250, somewhere in that range. It's very expensive, but it works. And for my students personally, I try to. I mean, I gotta make a living, right? But I try to give the best value for them because I generally want my students to do what better. And I know that a lot of my students are newer players, and players that can't necessarily afford hundreds of dollars. They got jobs, they got families, they got friends, they got school, they got this, that, and the other thing. No one wants to pay an arm and a leg to get better, but the truth is that you kind of have to in a way. Like, you don't have to spend millions, you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands. You could spend like maybe a few hundred over the course of a year and get there much faster than if you didn't. If you think about it, let's say you don't want coaching and you just want to do it yourself, like I was saying at the beginning of this talk. You could spend like 2 years slightly losing or breaking even, and that would be way more money than had you just up front put that money into coaching, become a winning player super fast, and then just spent that difference of time just profiting off of poker. So let's say like in a month or two, you actually become like a break-even player, and then a month or two after that, you start winning at 2 big blinds per 100. Well, after 4 months in, you could start winning every single month after that. Whereas if you didn't want coaching and said, oh, I don't want to pay $50 up front, that's too much. I think it's ridiculous to pay $50 up front. Well, here's the thing. Let's say you go a year and every single month you lose $100, just from playing poker and trying to figure it out on your own. That's noble of you. Like, you'll eventually get there, but at the end of the year, you're gonna have spent like $1,200 when you could have just spent, you could have at least spent half of that, um, just paying for coaching, and on top of that, you would have actually been a winning player and gotten a lot of it back. Like a lot of my coach, or I wouldn't say a lot, but some of my coaching sessions, students have made more at the tables than they have, and then that they actually paid me. So they'll pay me for a session, and then they'll end up winning more than what they paid me, which I think is pretty awesome. I love it when students do that. It's definitely possible, and or I all the time I get students that are like, hey, I put a session after our last coaching session, and I ended up making 60 or $70. Like, I love when I hear stuff like that. It, a lot of times, I can't guarantee that happens, but that happens more than you would think. It happens a decent chunk of the time. It's at the same time, it's not one of those things where you just like get coaching and you're good. You actually have to like listen, pay attention, and apply these things. And it takes a certain level of talent to be able to get coaching and be able to apply it at the tables on your own. But I would say for everyone would get at least something out of coaching. And in my opinion, for the vast majority of the times, it's going to be more out of coaching than it would be if you hadn't gotten coaching. That's kind of my little spiel on coaching. Um, Basically, I just want to add one last thing. Like, when you get coaching, whether it's me or someone else or whatever, doesn't really matter as long as you get coaching. I mean, get coaching from like Tom Angelo in your mental game, or me for micro stakes, or I don't know, blah 234 for like mid stakes or small stakes or something. Whatever you do, go get coaching, um, and you know what you'll get is a customized package for getting better. For example, like with my coaching, I'll watch the student play their first session and get a very like I give my students an extra free 30 minutes for their first session that I have with them. So it's a whole 90 minutes where I'm watching you, and I'm actually trying to figure out how to destroy you while I'm watching you. Like, I'll figure out what little leaks you have, what things you do wrong, what tendencies you have, everything from like bet sizing to what you do, to what hand ranges you play, everything. And what's good about that is, while we're playing, I can help make suggestions, and then after we play, I can tell you like all these massive leaks that you have, and you're conscious of it, and I'll tell you like how you fix those leaks, and I'll set up a way for you to you might plug up some leaks, but there still may be like some remaining issues there. But I'll tell you how you can kind of overcome those and work on those. Um, so it's been working out very good for my students. And then the follow up sessions, it's very customized. So some people will do another session. Some people will go straight into hand history analysis. Like, if a student is really bad at finding good spots to three bet or a continuation bet or something like that, I'll generally go into like a hand history review, and we'll selectively pick certain ranges of hands to go over, and it works out very well. If you're watching like a poker video on Deuces Cracked or Grinder School, it's just going to be someone playing poker, and that's their leaks, but you can still learn off of it, but it's not necessarily going to be your leaks. When you get coaching, it's a little bit more expensive than getting a video, watching videos, but you're going to have someone that's better than you at a certain aspect of poker literally point to the leaks, the massive leaks you have, and tell you exactly how you can fix it. It's very personalized, and there's like nothing in a coaching session that's not worth your money. If you watch, let's say you watch like Deuces Cracked or something, and you might watch a whole hour long video and not get anything new out of it, and it's incredibly frustrating. You just spent an hour. You might watch an hour and get maybe 5 minutes worth of content that's new for you. Well, if you're in a coaching session, the whole thing is going to be maybe not new for you, but it's going to be something that will grow you as a poker player. So, 10% of it might be like recapping stuff that you already knew, but then like the rest of it is applying it in new ways. So it's very, very good to get coaching. I highly recommend it. You know, set aside some money every month, set aside some of your winnings every month. Do what you have to do to get coaching. In my opinion, it's by far the best thing that you can do. Um, so with that being said, I think I've covered the four things. Just go out, literally just go out and start applying these things. Find a balanced way to do everything. At the very least, just look over hand histories every single day. That's very easy to do. It takes very little of your time. You can do it at work. You can do it. You can read a hand history and think about it while you take a shower, and then you got to find some time in the day. It's very easy to do. Spend some time watching videos. Try to watch at least a video a day. Get coaching. I would recommend coaching every week or every other week if you can afford it. If you can't really afford it, maybe do it once a month. Do what you got to do to get better. I mean, it's all about you making money. Like that's why you're watching this video here. That's why you're reading netreg.com, is because you actually want to get better at poker. You want to learn, at least break even, if not win. And the only way to do that is really just to go through these four steps in some combination, whatever's right for you, and just get good. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and good luck at the tables. This is Netreg from netreg.com. Peace.